How you doing, my family and friends? You see how it's important for you to evolve as a human being and for you to choose your words wisely and not just to talk without thinking about what you're saying. You see the situation that Fat Joe is in right now? Because he sat there on an interview with Matt Hoffa and he started talking things that he really wasn't calculating the repercussion of what he was saying. My goodness, man. And that can happen to anybody when you don't evolve. When you don't evolve. You know, how you going to call people broke and how you going to use the N-word? It's a teachable moment. This is the only reason why I'm talking about this right now. I usually don't get into stuff like that. But it's a very teachable moment right here. You see what I'm saying? I learned quickly why I shouldn't use the N-word when I was in prison. Because if I didn't want to fight, and I could have used the N-word, I came up using the N-word in Washington Heights, born and raised, 1970. I was alive in the inception of hip-hop. I was influenced by that right there. And it was nothing for us to use the N-word in those days when we was children. It was nothing for us to do it. But as I grew up, as I began to be older, right? And now I find myself in a Bureau of Prisons, in a jail. You quickly, figure things out. Why it's not good for you to use that? Because some people gonna take offense to that. They're gonna take offense to that. And I used to do it. I never had a problem because I did it. But I knew that it could potentially become a problem because I saw that the white people that did it had a serious problem. They had a serious problem. If you was in jail and you said that word, then you was going to get your head. They was going to hit you in the head right there real quick. You was going to have a problem. You was going to have to fight. So then, as I evolve, as I grow, and I learn and I just get better, my whole vocabulary started changing. When I became a follower of Jesus Christ. And I even stopped cursing. And I'm not gonna say that I never curse, but I stopped cursing. That's not part of my vocabulary anymore. Very, very, very rarely you're gonna hear me say a curse. And I learned that a long time ago. I took that up because, when you curse, it just means that you have a limited vocabulary. It just means that you have a limited vocabulary and you're not reaching your full potential. It's way better when you know how to talk and you know how to use certain words. It's way better when you know how to do that and when you educate yourself. You sound ignorant when you're cursing the older you get. The older you get as a human being and you cursing on a regular basis, you sound more ignorant and you just look more crazy. Let me share that right there. So, he goes on to say, Fat Joe goes on to say, and this, and this, and that, and this. And he starts using that word. People say ninja now. Ninja and these ninjas. And he's just going on and on and on. And nobody's checking him. Nobody's there. Even though he was sitting in a room full of black individuals, they wasn't foundational black Americans. They was Caribbean black Americans. And they were just letting it without saying nothing. Look, and there's a big issue right now for everybody that was in that barbershop right now, listening to that and him talking about that right there. And that's a teachable moment for us. For us to grow, to evolve. This is what I'm talking about not staying in ignorance. He just affected his whole business. He just put an album out that he titled The World Changed on Me. And now they showing him how much the world changed on you. To the point where you can't even use that word no more. Now he's really going to look crazy if he continues to say that word and talk in those terms. But it's because he's still stuck on what yesterday was. And he's not here in what today is. And what today is that you can't use that word no more like that. You know, you just can't go around people calling people broke because you got a little bit of money. You don't have a lot of money. You don't have P. Diddy money. You don't have Jay-Z money. And even that, you know, it is, look at P. Diddy with all the money he has and the situation he's in right now. You know, when now he's in the Bureau of Prisons. Something that you would never have even thought of. Somebody with so much influence, so much resources, so much money. But again, because of his choice of words, because of his ignorance, because how he treated people, because how he looked down on people, and he exalted himself like that, because that's all it was. It was pride. It was ego. They caused Fat Joe to talk that way. They caused P. Diddy to do the things he was doing, that they say allegedly he was doing. You know, they got him on video talking crazy. You know, his words that he was using, his action that he did after he said those words, is all coming down on them right now. You know, and it'll happen to anybody. We got to learn from this. We got to learn from this. We got to grow. We got to evolve. Because if we fail to do so, then our future is in jeopardy, even for our children. You know, and I'm going to touch on different subjects. I'm going to touch on different things that I think are important to us. This is why I'm speaking this right now. Because if he would have evolved, if he would have analyzed things correctly, he would have talked different. He got an album out right now. He got an album out that he's promoting, that he was getting ready to make a bag. Tour money, you know, videos, concerts, appearances. Now they talking about we don't even want to hear what you're saying no more. You know, we don't even want to hear what you're saying no more. You changing the narrative. And there's a rabbit hole now. There's an issue now for him. There's an issue now for him. There's an issue for everybody right now. Because foundational Black Americans, those descendants of slavery, right, that lived through the civil rights movement, that lived through slavery, that lineage, those descendants are still here today. And they suffering because their failure, their ability to be united, to unify. You know, that's why our people suffer. Because that's why my people suffer from my culture. Because we fail to unify. There's no unity within us. And we go against each other and we use each other and tethers. We become tethers. I'm going to get close to you for what I could benefit from you. But we don't really come together and form a Voltron and establish something the way other cultures do, right? And get themselves in a better situation and create jobs for themselves and create wealth for themselves. Different cultures do it all day, every day. The Indian cultures, the Jewish cultures, the Arab cultures, they come together. The Chinese cultures, they all come together. But for some reason, we have a hard time doing that for whatever reason. And, you know, if I could spark the change in that narrative, then I'm going to do it by sharing a little bit, shedding light on it, or why we should evolve, why we should think outside the box, why we shouldn't be me. What's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. And using each other off the backs of each other, off the sufferings of each other. You know, how could Fat Joe be there disrespecting, you know, that culture that did so much for him? This is what it's coming down to right now. They say, you not like us. You not from us. We let you come in here and get good and be good and establish yourself and have a good life and get rich off of us right here. But you can't just disrespect us like that. Come on, it's deep because he failed to read the room correctly. He failed to evolve mentally, spiritually. It got him right now. It got him right now. Just in a 1 second, in one conversation. That's how deep this is right here. That's how deep this is right here, man. And I'm glad that, you know, I didn't continue in my ignorance and I evolved and I'm able to let things go and I walk in forgiveness. And I try to be full before God on a continual basis so he could help me how to love my neighbor and love myself and love him above all things. See, you got to love God above all things. Love your neighbor as yourself. And now you can continue. Once you got that settled right there, then you put God first above all things and you love your neighbor as yourself and it's God first. And then your wife, and then your children, and then your siblings, and then everything after that. It's a certain order to certain things when it got to do with this life that we living in right now. And we can't continue to be confused. We can't. You know, look, he failed to evolve. He failed to grow. His ignorance was amplified right there. And now he got a lot of heat on himself for that right there. A lot of heat on himself for that right there. You know, it's just something that I'm touching on right now that I think is important for us to be aware of and to pay attention to right now so we can know how we're going to move forward and how we're going to evolve as human beings. With that being said, my family and friends of Once Upon a Time Felon, unashamed for Christ, forever saved.